Now that you've been exposed to some of the theoretical frameworks and their implications, we're going to review some of the best practices for encouraging learning and transfer in this two-part lecture. Let's begin with some of the pre-practice conditions that we want to put into place before the start of training. First, trainers should share some of their suggested learning strategies, ways of tackling the learning process and getting the most out of the training program. To help trainees organize the new information they're going to be exposed to through training, trainers should provide what are called advanced organizers. Things like outlines, diagrams, figures, graphs, tables. Trainers can encourage metacognition by asking trainees to think about the learning process and take time to reflect on their experience in the training program. Ask learners to spend 10 to 15 minutes at the end of a training program reflecting on what they learned and how they can use what they learned on the job. Every learner is expected to meet the learning outcomes of the program, but it also helps for trainees to set their own customized, personalized learning goals. People tend to learn best when they know what to expect, when they understand the training objectives and the learning outcomes. Training objectives are the goals of the training program, what the program wants to accomplish. Learning outcomes are trainees' goals, the things we want trainees to learn how to do, to be able to demonstrate at the end of training. Trainers have a great responsibility to meet the training objectives, but trainees have a great deal of responsibility in meeting the learning outcomes. Each outcome is a statement that specifies the KSAO that a trainee needs to learn through training. We'll learn more about learning outcomes at the end of this module. During training, we should encourage trainees to interact with the training content, with other trainees, and with the instructor. Learners interact with the training content when they read the textbook or online materials, when they listen to multimedia, when they complete assignments and activities, and when they practice newly learned behaviors. Trainers interact with learners when they present and demonstrate materials, when they answer trainees' questions, when they provide feedback about trainees' performance in the training situation, when they reinforce successful behaviors, and when they support trainees as they face obstacles in the learning process. Trainees interact with other trainees when they discuss their experiences, share context-specific knowledge, observe other trainees performing the behaviors that they need to learn, and when they share their own learning strategies with one another. By encouraging these three types of interactions, we can increase the likelihood that trainees learn and that they transfer that learning to the job. One of the themes of both learning and transfer theories is that meaningful content is essential. Content tends to be more meaningful when it's linked to trainees' current jobs and to the organization's business strategy. And when trainers tell stories about the success of previous trainees, about the positive outcomes they experienced after using what they learned on the job. Trainers should also share examples of what it means to perform well and what it means to underperform. Use language that is familiar to the audience and avoid phrases that don't translate well into other languages. Sometimes content has more meaning after training, and so providing on-demand access to training materials can be beneficial for some trainees. Not only should training content be meaningful, but it should also be memorable. To help trainees remember training content, try some of these strategies. 1. Have trainees complete pre-work before the learning event to familiarize them with the program and the content, and then encourage them to take notes during the training program. 2. Break content into easily digestible chunks of, say, 4 or 5 items, or break lengthy instruction into multiple sessions. Humans have limited memory capacity, and we need to be aware of that when designing complex training programs. 3. Use visuals to demonstrate concepts. Traditionally, we rely heavily on text, but visuals like photos, graphics, tables can be beneficial to helping people organize new information. Concept maps, for example, can be used to show the different relationships between topics. 4. Demonstrate the correct procedures in the correct order. Both physically and visually show trainees how to do something. Provide step-by-step instructions and graphics whenever possible. And 5, use short, multiple-choice quizzes or other boosters both during and after training to encourage the retrieval of newly learned information. This is especially important for the most important information. You'll notice that your quizzes in this class focus on information that we would like you to know long after you complete this course.